Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Into the Night radio show with me, your host, Dino Ewelt, where we talk everything paranormal. Let me get everything out of the way. I am so excited about this show tonight. We will be doing some Zeta talk with Starr DiGiacomo and Michael DeFato. But let me get the other stuff out of the way. Man, that went by quick. I was trying to share this. Anybody on Facebook, share this as many times you can to any groups if you can. There, help me out a little bit because this is going to be an awesome show. A lot of good information. But anyways, where do you guys go to? Go to Paranormal Into the Night Facebook page and Paranormal Into the Night Facebook group. That's where I post everything, and you guys never miss a thing. That's for sure. You could also search for us on iTunes. Okay, just search Paranormal Into the Night on iTunes, subscribe, and you'll never miss a show. You could also look at us on YouTube, subscribe, Paranormal Into the Night. All you got to do is go to your browser, type in Paranormal Into the Night. It's going to pop up everywhere, and I can't forget, last but not least, my friends over at ParanormalUKRadioNetwork.com, where the show airs every Wednesday, between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So go check them out. Awesome shows over there. A lot of friends I got over there. So there you go. Another shout out to another group by my friend Leonard O'Neill, Ancient Aliens Worldwide. Probably the biggest Ancient Aliens group out there. So there you go. He is actually in chat right now, Leo. There you go, Angie. Everybody's popping in already, and I didn't even share it to as many places as I could. So, anyways, there you go. With that said, man, this is going to be interesting. Okay, this is some deep stuff, I guess, when you get down to it. And I'm going to just get right, like I always do, get right to the guest. Jump right into the conversation, and feel free to ask any questions if you guys can. On YouTube, for sure, I will be looking at any questions, but the majority of people are on Facebook here, so that's just the way it goes right now, and people catch up on YouTube a little bit later. Here we go. I'm going to introduce them. Starr DiGiacomo, you are there.
Hi. Hi, Dino.
Hi. Thank you very much. And Michael DeFato.
Hey, Dino.
I think I said it wrong, didn't I? It's DeFato, right?
DeFato. Yep, close enough.
Oh, no, I did say it right. Okay, so I got it wrong anyways. I'm trying to keep everything straight in my mind here because I was looking at the Zeta Talk website, and there's so much stuff that we're only going to probably get to 0.5% maybe of what's on there. I mean, there's just so many things to get to tonight, but we will definitely start right off, I think, if it's okay, with Starr, just to let us.
Do you want me to give you a lowdown on on the Zeta Talk website? What how it started, all that.
If you want to start out with that, you can. Yeah, let's get that out of the way, and then we can go into your experience and stuff like that. So do an overview at the start here on the Zeta Talk website, and yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Nancy Leader started Zeta Talk in 95. She didn't have a website then. In 97, she created the website and gave the coordinates to where Planet X would be. Now, this is an elderly woman living in Wisconsin, like where did she get all this information? But she knew that she was a contactee ever since she was a little girl, and it didn't reach her again until she was in her late 40s, I believe, or early 50s, where she realized, I've got to write about this. I'm getting images. They're talking to me, and I'm not understanding them. She did ask them at that point to give her additional DNA so that she could understand the images better. And that's how Zeta Talk was started. And it's years ago, I think in like 2010 or 2011, there were 17,000 pages of Zeta Talk. And wow. I can't imagine, she does a newsletter every week, but she does media. So like everything she does related to Zeta Talk gets put onto the pages. So I have no idea where we're at right now. There are many, many mirror sites meaning when the time comes and they don't want people to even be able to access the Zeta Talk website, they will try and take it down. So mirror sites are Zeta Talk 1 through 15, I believe. And it's also transcribed into 21 different languages.
Wow.
So there's people in every country who started a Zeta Talk website under Zeta Talk so that they can translate everything for the people. And it's just a remarkable website. So it's all about Planet X. The Zetas are here. They've been here forever. They've been here way longer than humanity was. But they didn't start talking to us until the Roswell event. And that didn't go down so well. Meaning they realized that they were dealing with the military and the government, and that the government and the military was not very service to other and not really looking out for the little guy. So they handed some disinformation out at that time. But Zetas, those alien beings are, they have been given North America. So a lot of contactees will be Zeta contactees. In other parts of the world, there are other aliens that are dealing with those contactees. So that's why Zeta Talk is so huge. I truly believe that the government reads Zeta Talk. Many other people who, talk about what's going to happen where Planet X has come inbound and what's going to happen to our coastal regions and with earthquakes and volcanoes and all the cataclysms to come, they've gotten their information from Zeta Talk, So at this point, I don't care, who talks about it, as long as it's getting out there. That's really important. The message is to prepare. And it's so much better to be prepared for everything imaginable than to not prepare at all, And there's ways to survive this. There's a huge section on safe locations. Every country is in there. And the major cities of every country, or the major ports, there's so much information. So I'm going to post the safe locations document, if you don't mind. I'll post it both on YouTube, and I'll post it into, if I can get my computer to react now.
Yeah. No, you post.
I just opened.
Yeah, you post away, because this is
okay.
important.
So that's really important. That's the first thing. People don't know. They wouldn't know what to do, even if they knew it was coming. And the first thing that people think about is everyone's going to die. This planet's going to come through and throw fireballs at us, and we're going to stop rotation, and we're going to end up in a different, our poles are going to end up in a different place. How could anyone survive that? But this planet has been through multiple pole shifts before, and it's in all kinds of texts.
Well,
so
could I ask you a question really quick first here?
Sure.
The Zetas, you say their first interactions were really during the Roswell event?
The Zetas, yes. The Zetas that we're dealing with, that have created Zeta Talk via Nancy Leader. Yes.
Okay.
When the crash happened at Roswell, there were 3 aliens that crashed.
Okay.
They came here on purpose. It was like a Harry Carey, mission. They knew that they were going to crash because that would be the only way that the government can come and collect them, or the people that they were supposed to talk to, that they thought at that point to collect them. So one stayed alive, and we call him on Zeta Talk. We call him Skinny Bob, and there's a great video that the Russians took secretly and aired the footage, and that was of Skinny Bob talking to, what was her name? Lawrence Spencer wrote a book called Interview with an Alien. Now, Dino, if that is one book I'm going to ask you to read, aside from Zeta Talk. You will be, you could listen to it on YouTube. There's a guy who does it, every 15 minutes by doing it that way, if you need to do that.
And what's the name of that again?
Interview with an Alien.
Okay.
And there was a nurse um, there was a nurse that the alien, she was the only person that the alien wanted to talk to. Now, her name was Errol in that book. That was the name that Matilda something, Nurse Matilda something. It's a fascinating read of what conspired on that night that they had the one live alien and they wanted information. So it's a great read. But we call him Skinny Bob. Personally, to me, I always knew, even the first time that I looked at the footage of Skinny Bob, that it was female to me. And, of course, aliens don't have names. But Zetas are from Zeta Reticuli, and it was someone else long ago who had a contact experience, an abduction experience is what people referred to it back then, but it was a contact experience, that she was the one who knew about Zeta Reticuli, and so that's how they got their name. The alien itself with the big eyes, and they kind of sort of look like that, but they do have little mouths, and they do have teeny tiny ears, but their eyes are huge, and they're shorter than humans. They're called the Greys because we only have certain colors. I don't know the color spectrum, how many colors are in the color spectrum that can be named, but we don't see the colors from other galaxies. So to us, they look gray, but they're not really gray. And since they wrote about that, they're probably a little upset that we think that they're gray, But we call them the Greys.
Anyway, how long did this alien Skinny Bob live after he was caught?
It was less than a couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half or something.
Really?
Because they didn't know what to feed the alien. The Errol never slept. They didn't know what to feed her, and she died. So
how did this lead into the Zetas actually becoming in contact with the nurse?
They were assigned North America because at that point that they knew that they were dealing with the government and the military who didn't have our best interests at heart. And they started to contact people one-to-one. And that's where all of this, there's so many contactees out there. It was a one-to-one basis. And we call that, they don't intrude on people's lives. People ask for contact. And they really do. Some people, think that they're praying. But they ask for contact. So be careful what you wish for because you may get it. So they're benevolent. These are wonderful, wonderful beings that are trying very hard. They love us. They are our DNA. So, they're like us 400 years in the future. And they've done what's happening on our planet in the hands of man, I should say, meaning the wars and the famine and just how we're polluting the planet. They did that to their planet. So they're, all about sharing this information. You've got
So did they clean up their mess?
Your planet.
So did they fix their planet? Did they? Are they up over that?
No, they don't have a planet. Now they live in kind of little doll bodies. It's really the soul that lives in a doll body. I think that's the best way I can explain it.
So that's what the Greys are then. That's how you would describe them technically, the Zetas.
Yes. Okay. And they're the worker. They are the worker beings. They're fourth density beings. We're only third density. People say either dimension, they'll call it dimension, but I've always called it density, and I believe Zeta Talk has always referred to it as density. And this is the exciting part. We live in third density. Most other beings off planet live in fourth density. There are some still third density baby planets. We're like kindergarten here. This is while we go through a pole shift, which is a very natural event, which could be stopped, but they're not going to stop it, because it's a natural event, because we're going to go through a transformation as a human race, not only humans, everything is going through a transformation. Every animal, bug, and bird and fish. We are all raising up to fourth density after the pole shift passes. So that's
So they want
very,
the pole
very
shift
exciting.
to happen.
The pole shift has to happen.
Okay.
Because it is a natural event. It's just that this time around, well, I'm sure that they've always been aware when there's a pole shift. But remember, we're talking 3,600 plus years ago. How many people were on the planet? How many, 70-story buildings did we have on the planet?
Right.
We didn't have any of that. So I think the last pole shift was the Jewish Exodus.
Okay.
The one prior to that was Noah. And of course we lost the dinosaurs, and we found woolly mammoths, still with buttercups in their mouths. So there's a lot to be said about the history of this planet that people don't want to recognize. There's a lot of people out there who poo-poo the idea that we are going to have a pole shift, but it is a natural event. Planet X is a part of our solar system, but it's on a trajectory kind of swing orbit. Now, I can't explain this really good. Maybe Michael can do better.
So the Zetas are part of this Planet X then? Do they live on this planet? Do they? Is it an actual planet, or is it a type of ship?
It's a dwarf star. It's a dwarf star, but it is a planet. It's a dwarf star that is a planet. It is a huge molten ball of iron. And since it's a magnet, it's a huge magnet.
Okay.
It's everything that it touches in its general area is getting sucked up into its tail. So at this point, there's like 22 moons that are in. I refer to it as a windsock. You know what a windsock looks like?
Mm-hmm.
We'll put one windsock hole, but with two, floaty things. That's what it's like, because it has collected all of this dust and debris from the solar system. It comes in from Orion. And back in 1997, Nancy gave the coordinates. And how could she know the coordinates?
Right.
She knows more stuff than a whole room full of people, scientists and astronomers, and can figure out in 10 minutes. She just lays it out on the table. So it's wonderful.
This is where I'm going nuts here. I've got, it's so unbelievable. I've got so many questions, so many things to talk about, and we're going off into so many different directions, and I don't even know where to stop you and continue to go on to another.
What are people eager? Because I can't see it. I'm on the live Facebook page.
Okay.
Paranormal Into the Night. It says live, but I don't see anything. So,
go to the Paranormal Into the Night radio show page if you're not there.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, me myself, I'm just, nothing good has come from the pole shifts in the past. You're saying that the Zetas are saying there's going to be a transformation after this pole shift.
A huge transformation.
Okay, but
and you know what? The Bible has always said, the meek shall inherit the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, if I may, that's our purpose here. That's Earth's purpose now. It is. It's a schoolhouse. It's a schoolhouse for developing souls to learn and decide whether they're going to be service to other or service to self. The transformation is going to kind of take care of a lot of the problems we have right now with such different orientations. Wars are still fought. There's a lot of pitfalls to man. Not only will man take that evolutionary leap, but it's really about Earth becoming a fourth density planet, because it's a beautiful planet. It's a water world,
and it's not just meant for human beings.
Exactly, absolutely right, absolutely. It never did belong to human or mankind. It never was our planet. We were a life form living here that was developed and tweaked over the years, and the Zetas have had a big hand in on humans' development over the eons. They have been here for quite some time, and Planet X also, as you said, Starr, it rides on it's basically resulted from the Big Bang. It threw Planet X on a trajectory that brought it close enough to our sun's binary twin, which is way out there past Pluto. Nancy could tell you the exact distance, like 18.7.
Which they now call Nemesis, which is the correct word.
Yes, which they also kind of twisted at some point. NASA was putting Nemesis in the headlines to deflect people to looking for Planet X, and so they did a whole disinformation campaign. But actually known as Nemesis, yeah. But in any case, it shoots out, and it's about, 3,650 plus, take away a few year kind of a trip.
I used to say 3657, but I'm not going to say that anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't want to spit out anything.
That's what I used to say. But what happened was the Mayan calendar was not, it's incorrect. The date that they came up with in 2012, which was hype that they tried to throw Nancy under the bus at that point, Zeta Talk under the bus, that Zeta Talk is preaching that it was going to happen in 2012. Never, never, never once, and actually it was the opposite, it's not the time.
Yeah.
There's too much that needs to happen.
But this is what gets to me though, with all of this over the years, and I've been listening to a lot of this stuff over the past 20 years, okay? Time after time after time, Planet X is supposed to come by, pole shift is supposed to happen, there's reasons given why it didn't happen, but predictions have been made over and over and over, and nothing ever happens. This is kind of what gets certain people not skeptical, but just saying, some people saying, I just don't believe this whatsoever.
That's why no one should ever give a date. And Zeta Talk absolutely will not give a date. They will give us all the signs that we need, and that's what we want to share on the radio show. But they will not give a date, nor have they ever, except for the first time in 2003. And Nancy was like humiliated, and it was really hard for her.
I bet.
But she thought, she was told that it was going to happen, whatever date it was, I don't remember at this point, in 2003. So that's what, she gave that date. And now she's asked to never know the date, even if they just wanted to share it with her.
We know the date, yeah. Unfortunately.
Yes. If we know the date, that means the governments know the date. Absolutely. And Lord knows what they have planned for the population.
Yeah. Nancy and the Zetas, they call that the white lie, and it took place in 2003. And it was basically, Nancy was deceived only for the betterment of getting people to realize that after that date passed, how much the elites actually were paying attention to Zeta Talk and were preparing only for themselves, including the domination of the Middle East for control of the oil at that time.
Whoever owns the oil is king,
Absolutely. So that was a white lie that was kind of meant to happen, and
So
Nancy
they did that on purpose.
Sacrifice.
Then.
Well, yeah. The purpose was to kind of show what the establishment was all about. What was commonly referred to as the establishment. It's more than just our government. It's people all over the world. It's certain families that kind of have wealth and privilege, and politicians and bureaucrats that think they're in the know, and so a lot of that went down. But I can tell you this, if I could share at this point, I really wanted to share my brief awakening. It was about late 2011, and one night there was a full moon, and I noticed that there seemed to be a very large orb next to it. I looked up, and I was just puzzled in amazement. I stood there for 20 minutes. I went inside, and the internet was kind of, a big thing, but I wasn't too much into it, so I started trolling around in the internet learning. And I tripped over the Zeta Talk website, and it was the only place where I'd seen another photo of an orb next to the moon. Now, typically, we talk about Planet X. It's never next to the moon unless you're, a newbie, we call them, people who make that assumption that Planet X is riding behind the moon, but it's not. But in any case, so it was called. It's basically it's the dark twin, which typically throughout the years rides on the opposite side of the sun, so our astronomers can't see it. However, when Planet X zoomed into the inner solar system in 2003, it kind of halted the dark twin, which basically shifted it to more trapped in Earth's orbit. So now it's actually riding on the dark side of Earth as of today. However, get back to 2011. So my awakening was just previous to the Mayan predictions in 2012. And that's when I first met Starr, was in early in 2012 on Facebook. And she was just amazing, because it just seemed like everything that I wanted to talk about, she was willing to talk about, and it was awesome. But so I kind of had an awakening to Zeta Talk at that point. I still read it today. It's so voluminous. But every time, I have to say that I'm not a nuts and bolts guy. I can't tell you exactly how things work, because Zeta Talk speaks more to the subconscious. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times as you read and digest it, you may not really understand it at that moment, but you may actually see something in real time the next day that may make you think about what Zeta Talk was talking about. Or you'll hear a news clip, or something just resonates. I mean, when I was reading Zeta Talk, and Starr had posted an awesome blog about train derailments, and another strong prediction of Zeta Talk. And as I'm reading her blog, here I am driving one day in central New York, and I see an oil train derail right before my very eyes. So it's like living it, seeing it. But if you monitor a lot of the changes, not only tectonic as far as the uptick in earthquakes, but I was also staring at the sky, so it wasn't there long after that I started looking for Planet X next to the sun through a red filter, which you can use from any floppy disk, the old type floppy disk. You crack it open, and there's a red piece of plastic in there, and you can. I still wouldn't recommend looking too long, but you can stare at the sun through that, and it filters in the infrared. So you can, at times at dusk and dawn, you'll see it for yourself, and I have seen it for myself. I've recorded it. So once you kind of see it, but you have to understand that there's a lot of planetary magnetics involved, and how our sun is so dominant, but at times our Earth plate pays allegiance not only to our dominant sun, but also Planet X, which is 23 times the mass of Earth, I believe. Starr, is that correct?
I don't know
I
exactly.
think it's like 23 times the mass of Earth. But basically, you're talking about three magnets playing. And if you've ever, as a child, horsed around with three different magnets, you get a lot of repulsion force and attraction force. Mm-hmm. So as Planet X basically has rounded the sun, it came into the inner solar system in 2003, has now rounded our sun, and is now outbound towards its binary twin. So it's ready to make its journey back towards the other twin in our universe. Long story short is, the further it gets away from the sun, the more it picks up speed. Mm-hmm. So there is an acceleration going on. But as Starr said, nobody's to know the date, because there are just, unfortunately, some pretty evil souls still here incarnated on Earth that would only dominate and take advantage.
But we do have a little help from benevolent aliens.
Absolutely. And the Zetas, see, that's part of, because there was a vote cast, what was it, back around the time of Roswell? And there was a vote cast by all of the subconscious people giving the call at that, or people polled, just the souls polled basically on the planet. And at that time, pre-World War II or sometime around then, there was a vote that Earth was to be a service to other planets. So that's what this is all about, is that this is a natural event, as Starr said, and there's no stopping it. This is our opportunity for our souls to grow and graduate to a fourth density is amazing to me, and I'm so happy to be alive. It's
an exciting time to be alive.
Although I have known that I've been here on this planet for quite a while through reincarnation, because my soul is, and a lot of times after, when I'm finding Starr and the Ning and Zeta Talk and looking for myself, I fell for a lot of the disinformation that blame the sun, that NASA talks about, solar flares and all that stuff. And I was young at that point, in 2012. But then, the whole Mayan 2012 date comes and goes, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. But as you stay in tune and you read Nancy's updates, she's so dedicated to the amount of time she puts in.
Oh, yes.
Answering questions that are posed to the Zetas, basically by good-natured people, typically looking for the betterment of mankind, to expose a cover-up, or to try to understand what it is, the signs that you may see in the sky, such as rainbow clouds and light sprites, fireballs. There's so many...
punch clouds.
A punch cloud.
Which is where a mothership was and left. Yeah, so there's so many signs in the sky.
Right.
Yeah, they're known as whole clouds too. That's one of my favorite ones, because that has to do with the awakening. And as Starr said, when you kind of know, that you've always known that we're not alone here on the planet, it gets really fun. To me, I've always known the Zetas, but I never knew it until about 5 years ago. When I seen ET as a child, when they get off the ship at the end on top of the Devil's Tower there, and the little tiny aliens are carrying out all of the people that were taken like during flights in World War II and throughout history, and they're bringing back all these people.
Oh, Close Encounter of the Third Kind.
Yeah, Close Encounters. I mean, that's basically, those are my ideas. So, and I know that I've had reoccurring dreams, as Starr said. A lot of people have contact, but it's recorded only in their subconscious for many reasons, so that they don't
until they ask for open conscious contact.
It's kind of it's like a time release. It's time release, so it avoids
how much
panic.
You can. Right, and the stress of your daily life. I mean, we all are living very stressful lives. It's not like it was when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Everyone lives a very stressful technology life.
Well,
And
that's why I keep, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's the problem I have with a lot of this stuff. Not that I have a problem with it, but to a point, it's like, okay, I know things can get worse than they are. My point is, why aren't they helping us? Why don't they just land? Why don't they say, hey, we're here, we're around, let's work together, even though they may be working with the government, which I'm sure they are. Why don't they just,
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
I mean, Starr is far more. I call Starr my old soul. She's a very old soul.
I call him Charlie Brown. He calls me Lucy.
Yeah, I'm a little insecure, and I'm kind of.
Watch the football.
They do help. They do help in our personal lives. Yeah. They help if we ask for it. But there's rules.
You mean everyone?
And there's rules of engagement that they can't interfere. Now, what they can do is lessen the blow. Like, we should have already gone through the New Madrid ripping open by now. It should have already happened. It should have happened in like 2010. But they put the brakes on. But it's getting to a point where if an announcement is not made, which this is what Zetas have said, if an official announcement is not made, and I'm sure they're referring to North America, because Putin has already told his people in Russia. In China, they know. I mean, other countries are much more upfront about it, but it's like everyone is waiting for the U.S. to say something. Unless they do that, they're going to snap the rubber band. They're going to just let go. And the last weeks will come to us unawares, taken by surprise, because an announcement is not going to be made. But they have done. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Argon metal boxes.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. You can talk about that in a second, but you almost make them sound like angels, like they can't.
If I may, Dino. They're first off, a lot of what we're going through and the mistakes that we make, they are heartbroken because they are restricted by the Council of Worlds. The Council of Worlds oversees.
Yes, I need to hear a little bit about that. Yeah,
which is our schoolhouse. Remember. If it's the same way. See, I know all three of us were. I went to Catholic school. Did you guys? I mean, did you go to church? I mean, we were all raised, Sicilian Catholic.
I was always getting in trouble. Yeah.
Right.
So,
I went to Catholic school.
Yeah, and the prize about learning about, say, a beautiful incarnated soul known as Jesus. I mean, was knowing that someday you get to heaven. Well, there are densities far higher than third and fourth density, and these are the really beautiful, amazing souls kind of reside. In other words, there are so many different opportunities, but only for souls that are developed one way or another. The souls will choose for themselves. But the Zetas want to help us. But there are rules. This is our schoolhouse and not theirs. After the transformation, roughly 100 years after the pole shift, where the bad souls, so to speak, or the service to other souls are kind of carried away. And now the planet Earth, which is a beautiful planet, resides in a higher density with higher evolved souls. because it's sort of like moving into a better house, so to speak. You know, you lived in a house that was ready to fall down, and now finally you have a decent house with good windows. You know.
Yeah.
So it's
That's a good analogy.
Right.
It's our school. It's our lesson. So, but now the Zetas do assist.
But we don't
in a
got
lot
good
of
teachers, so you know this school is not is kind of run down and not teaching us properly. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and they have to be very cautious, the Zetas, because they don't want to make a mistake. I mean, if they were to make a kind of a major flaw, they would be kind of pulled from maybe not their future planet, but from certain duties in which there's such a benefit to us. First, the fact that they chose Nancy as their kind of spokesperson shows that. I think the one thing I should say about the Zetas, and this is why I probably relate so much to the Zetas. They're blunt and they're direct and they're blunt. There's no, they don't pull punches. They have telepathy, and because they have that, they don't have the ability to lie to each other, and that's one of the biggest problems in the third density. Is that we don't have the ability to not be deceived by our neighbor or our loved one. So and that's kind of putting it mildly, but because mankind has dual brains, we kind of suppress things that are so detrimental that we don't want to change because we just choose to ignore it. Some people call that denial. You know,
that's a part of the problem. It's huge denial in the population where they know something is wrong because they could feel it, but they will deny that anything cataclysmic like a pole shift is going to happen to this planet. So they come up with all sorts of other ways of, oh, it's sun flares, and I just heard something on Facebook today, but I can't remember what it was, that it was ridiculous. And then you have the biblical people, and then you have the people who think that we live on a flat earth and we live in a dome, you know? Mm-hmm. So they create their own existence. You know, yeah. And it is a schoolhouse, and they'll grow eventually, you know. Yeah. But Zetas are here to let us know the punches. They don't pull any punches, like Michael said. They're here to let us know we're going to have a pole shift. It's going to be really horrific. 90% of the population will die within the first 2 years. And that's due to insanity, not having enough food, no water or disease. You know, you get a cut and you don't have a doctor. If you don't know first aid, you could die from a stupid cut. Yeah. So we know, the people who do know, it's important for us to get the message out to say, look to the safe locations document. I work for Emergency Broadcasting Network. Go to ebn.org to learn how to get through a landslide, how to get through a fire. What if we had a nuclear event? What should we do? All of that is also listed on Zeta Talk. It's just a little tricky to find all of those posts on that specifically.
And can I say this though too, Starr? And I'm not trying to be harsh or anything here, but what would you say to the people that have been, you know, dealing with this for, you know, for however long, back to Edgar Casey, whoever, I mean, you know, who's been predicting these type of cataclysmic events. Nobody wants to live scared the rest of their life, but when they hear this kind of stuff, they're going to be. And, you know, over and over and over.
Even me, who knows, you know, what's going to happen. I said I'm going to have paper bags in every room. You know, I'm going to have access to paper bags because I will hyperventilate.
Right. So I'm wondering why
I will go through the shift alone.
Right. So I'm wondering why make it so, you know,
scary.
Yes, and not help us out.
Because it's a cleansing of the planet. And it needs to happen.
It's an opportunity. You know, I understand people living with fear and anxiety. Believe me, I understand that. I'm bipolar myself, so digesting all of this and still trying to maintain a positive outlook at times can be challenging for me. But here's the thing:
we call that the double life of contactees. I'm sorry, but continue.
It's the same thing as could you imagine if somebody had a wedding party on a beach where there was a typhoon approaching, but no national broadcast ever let them know?
Right.
It's sort of the same opportunity. I guess the way to look at the beautiful part of this is we're all going to die. We're all dying at this time.
Right.
Minute by day, by year, it doesn't matter. It's our soul's journey. This is not the end for those who are unfortunate and don't make it through. This is not the end.
I hope so, Michael.
Incarnation.
I hope so.
So, but the big thing is, when you look at what stands to change, look at what is preventing what you, me, and Starr truly believe. We truly believe that Planet X is ready to flip us within an hour. And when that happens, it's going to devastate so many unsuspected people. But as Starr said, a lot of people for years have been following the almighty, intelligent United States. And I love this country. People like George Washington were literally protected by aliens.
Right.
Bullets shot all around him at certain points in his battles. He was so protected.
Look into George Washington and Saint Germain.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But they were kind of advancing man's soul. So this is an opportunity right now for people to kind of have, a lot of people can't handle the truth. A lot of people don't even have an incarnate soul. Starr calls them the fluff. So this is an opportunity, but when you look at some of the things that are holding man back now, we've had wars throughout history, whether they're just or not, and none of that has ever stopped. We still have a lot of bureaucrats in a lot of different countries making false assumptions and out-and-out lies that are costing lives by the day. On top of that, we have a thing called money. Money is something that, okay, some people may value, some people may worship, and other people may despise. I think when Starr and I first talked on the phone, the very first question out of her mouth was, how do you feel about money? And it was the way that I answered that she kind of knew that I was kind of...
I smacked you. I bitch slapped you. I'm sorry. But I did. Because you were all about, you got to invest in gold and you got to invest in silver. And I was like, wait a minute, we're going to be living in a barter system, lovingly helping each other.
And that's the difference. When we look at our society today, and I'm not, and it's all about making our parents proud and it's all about doing the right thing. But unlike the Zetas, the telepathic Zetas who share all of their knowledge, this is an opportunity for our soul's next incarnation to possibly be incarnated here on the fourth density planet and live in a society where everybody shares knowledge. Think about if nobody really had to kill themselves prematurely. The Zetas have a life expectancy, I think it's 180 years.
No, 400 years. 400 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of genetic doing too, the difference between their diets and our structure and their structure. But my point is, they live in a society where a lot of service to other, because they share information, they have the best UFOs in all the universes because they share information. It's the service yourself who crash all the time because they're greedy and they don't share their information. But look at what our children have to mortgage their futures just to get an education today in this country. That should be shared knowledge. They shouldn't be having to kill themselves for 20 years in a laborious job for some of them, extremely bad for their health, just to pay off a debt because a university decided that they needed to sell the knowledge because we need only certain people to have this knowledge. Our classroom's only so big is the excuse sometimes.
And it's the knowledge they want the students to learn.
Exactly.
And nothing more.
Well,
and a lot of them have become, so there's a lot of good, positive things. The pole shift, as Starr said, it's a natural event. It is if the Council of Worlds were to step in and use their obvious knowledge of what magnets do and somehow divert that planet just far enough away from Earth that we feel a breeze instead of a pole shift. If they do that, it doesn't give our opportunities for the soul to grow and graduate to the fourth density. Because after the fourth, there's a fifth, there's a sixth, and the Zetas only know of the next couple of densities, but they go way up there.
But why does that need to happen in order for us to get to that fourth density? I mean, why?
It's the purging of the planet. It's the purging of the planet in terms of all of our...
Absolutely. Look at the planet. Do you really think that this is sustainable? Just look at
it's not just of the harvesting of souls, let's say. It is actually a cleansing of this planet. Yeah, we'll move, I think the new North Pole is going to be Recife, Brazil, a little town in Brazil. Everything is going to change. North America, where we are, I live in North Carolina. Michael's up in upstate New York. Where are you, Dino?
I'm in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, by the lake.
Oh, okay. The lakes are going to be a part of the Mississippi River. Once we have the new Madrid, which splits, there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of places that will be underwater. The Mississippi is going to widen by 100 miles.
Yeah.
So every bridge from the base of North America to the tip of North America will be snapped. That's what's going to happen. But I'm trying to get to the safe locations thing because I really think that that's important. We only have 2 hours.
I know, and see, that's the thing, Starr. There's so many. Oh my God, this goes in so many different directions. I mean, you know.
We can talk about the soul, what Zetas refer to as STS and STO, which is service to other or service to self. Now, the evil people who are ruling this planet right now, all of the evil people, and not all of the elite are evil, but a lot of them are, you know,
Yeah.
and their minions are just as bad. Every STS has their last incarnation on this planet right now. So it is just a despicable place to be, with wars and famine, and I can go on and on and on, and how we pollute the planet for the almighty dollar, you know, when we could be using free energy right now, all of us.
Absolutely.
But they will never, you know, come forward with that. It's going to be people in their own little communities who can figure things out, you know, and get things working.
But they know it. They know that 90% of the population, there's a great proportion of that are children, great people who could, you know, become great individuals when they grow up. Well, I mean, I just still trying to wrap my hands around the purge and the transformation and cleaning. Why can't they do that without interfering? I still don't get that. I mean, I'm understanding your thing. The planet's despicable. Let's wipe out 90%. Let it happen. We'll start over again. But
I'm going to tell you something specific. Any person who will be a benefit to humanity in the aftertime will be spared. They're going to get a lift. And I don't like to go into that whole thing because, you know, there's so many people out there, I'm going to get a lift, you know, No. These are very specific souls that will get a lift. Most of those people, if given an opportunity to either have a lift or stay behind, would stay behind. That's how good-natured they are. But they will be given a lift. There's going to be roaming gangs. It's going to be like a Mad Max scenario in the aftertime until we purge all of those horrible, evil, service-to-self people who never once thought about preparing for anything because they know their neighbor next door has prepared and they're going to take it. So, you know, once those people start killing each other off, because that's what will happen, a pecking order, good-natured people are going to be traveling around, lost children that don't have any parents, you know, there's going to be complete chaos. But good-natured people will be hidden. And Nancy gave a little, she wrote something called Finnegan Fine. And I wish it would come to a screenplay. I really wish we can get it out there as a screenplay. But anyway, it was what happens with people in the aftertime. Now, I'm a Walking Dead fan, you know?
So
I don't know about you, but I am a Walking Dead fan. Yep. I am sweating for 5 months waiting for it to come back.
Yes.
Because it's such a useful tool.
Yes.
Good people don't realize that there are bad people out there. So they're going to need to be protected. So in that way, they will be protected. They're hiding in a forest and they're hiding in plain sight. They'll be passed over. So it's not all doom and gloom. There's a wonderful video on YouTube. It's called Pole Shift, A Message of Hope. And it's I think it's everyone who follows Zeta Talk, it's their favorite video. Because it's a message of hope that just because, you know, this cataclysm has happened, it's a chance for you to love your neighbor, to help your neighbor, it's going to be devastating when families are separated. So they're also going to get that, an invitation to speak with those members, maybe in their subconscious, you know. So every being is aware of the pain, emotional pain that we're all going to go through here, and they wish that they can be there, and they are,
Right.
they're going through it with us. But after this happens, there's going to be a lot of help. And guess what? There's going to be aliens living on the planet. Now, they're not going to come in droves at first, but it's going to be like me walking in New York City seeing a tall albino man, okay? It's going to be as natural an occurrence as anything, and no one's going to think twice about it. But
You don't think
yeah.
we'll be there though, right? This is not going to happen within our lifetime.
Oh, I absolutely think it's going to happen in our lifetime. Otherwise,
Huh.
I
really
would not have
depends.
been summoned.
Yeah.
I would
It
not have been summoned.
It
Okay.
depends on
it-
your orientation also. Absolutely. As to whether or not you'll ever in this incarnation meet an alien. It really depends on your orientation. And basically the reason why is that a lot of the life forms that they come in, we're just not ready to see. Most people are just like, I mean, you still have some humans that can't. Elephants are afraid of mice, and humans are afraid of that tiny little harmless moth, and
Right.
So you
Centipede,
can imagine
yeah.
running into a slug that's 6 feet tall. It's going to be a little.
Well,
fight or flight.
yeah, I don't think that we're going to get that until everyone is ready for that, and that's going to be in 100 years.
Yeah, and that goes back to the whole subconscious protecting the anxiety, and
Right.
But
They don't want us to all die of a heart attack.
Yeah, but there will be others that are ready for open conscious contact, and
Yes.
and there will also be a lot of guiding in the aftertime. Not only shielding the way certain presidents have done throughout the last recent years by assassins, but kind of shielded in ways that the roaming gangs of looters and murderers and rapists can't find the good-natured little community trying to raise whatever children they were able to find in the community whose parents just abandoned them, for example.
Yeah.
Or, the community that's trying to show everybody how to grow and they're sharing all their knowledge and food as opposed to just taking it and having a big party one night and blowing it out. And, So
there's going to be plenty of people that will party till the end. I know personally, quite a few
Yeah.
that have told me as much.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but they also feel, some people feel, what can I do? There's no way I can prepare for this. What can I do? There's so much to do. First of all, I'm going to say, everyone go buy seed. It's so cheap, but make sure it's heirloom, non-GMO seed. And buy enough for your neighbors. It's cheap enough that you can buy seed to have for the aftertime. Also, very important, learn to distill water. There's so many people who will die of thirst.
Yes.
On the other side of the world. It's like, but why are you dying of thirst? You can pick up water from a creek or, nasty water and learn to distill it and be drinking fresh, pure water.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of collecting the steam. So you put 2 pots together. I say a macaroni pot, a pasta pot, and then a bundt pan, because it's got a hole in the middle, and then put a lid on it. Fill the bottom pot with water and heat it up. A lot of people don't know how to make a fire. I wish that those people would learn multiple ways to make a fire, because that would surely be helpful. But as far as everything else, I know plenty of people in my little area that are really good cooks. They can make a masterpiece out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to be dealing with. Everyone's going to be sharing, and everyone's going to be, either cooking or washing clothes, and very much like what was going on in The Walking Dead. How
Right.
they
Learn to survive. Learn to
live
prep.
with each other.
Yes. Learn to prep. Learn to survive. All those techniques and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
for
there'll
sure.
still be art. There'll still be music. There'll still be dancing, and there's always that will never end. Love, and love is everything that it's about. If you can love your neighbor as you love yourself, and I'm not getting all religious or anything like that, but care about the next person. That's really important. And we're going to see a lot of that. A lot of souls are going to go from maybe being fluff, and Michael and I had discussed this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're fluff right now where their face is constantly in their cell phone. They go to a job or they go to school. They come home and useless eaters, I might want to say. Is that terrible to say of me? But it's true. That have no desire to learn anything. But when they go through the shift, maybe they're rushing out to grab someone from a rushing stream or pulling someone out from a fire, because it's instinct and it's love. After 9/11, everyone in Manhattan, became one big ball of love, and wanted so much to take care of everything. Everyone was helpful. I lived in Florida for 3 years, and with me when I moved there came 5 hurricanes that I went through. But it was immediate, where neighbors that I never spoke to, that I always thought, well, maybe they probably don't like me or whatever. Everyone joined together. Who was cooking whatever was in their freezer, who was minding the children. This is an opportunity for souls to grow. And yes, it is going to be very devastating, where children and old people who are on life support systems, they'll sadly be the first people to go. Anyone who needs, to be on the grid, a constant basis, will probably be the first to go. But, people do die. People die in wars and earthquakes. People do die.
I understand. If there was one thing on Zeta Talk that could convince people that, hey, this is for real, what would that be? I mean, honestly.
No, that's not a good question. There's not just one thing.
If I could answer that question, it's very simple.
Well, a lot of people are going to go, Michael, and start and just think this is a bunch of hogwash.
Look, a lot of people are. Here's the thing: Zeta Talk it's open and blunt. However, there's different facets to Zeta Talk. You are looking, and a lot of your listeners may be looking for the proof, the concrete proof, concrete proof. Well, then,
it's because of denial.
And if you want to monitor, because they have updates all the time on earthquakes and landslides, volcanoes, gas explosions. Starr has started so many blogs that have brought attention to these and are updated daily. I mean, things like nuclear incidences and water main bursts all over the country, which happen to coincide, ironically, with a lot of the tectonic faults that we have here in this country. But so there's just different aspects to Zeta Talk. I'm sorry. If you're looking for the nuts and bolts and the mechanics of it all,
the science,
the earthquakes, the science is there for you. If you want to be more love and light and kind of understand the soul's purpose and alien life forms, and you want to just kind of dive into that type of, it's there for you. But the thing is, nothing out there, nothing recorded will even come close to Zeta Talk if you just take the time to read it, absorb it, digest it. They're not 100% right, but man, I have never written and viewed and seen things that have led me to go out and look for myself. I would say their accuracy rate is probably 99%. So the 1%, you have to figure out for yourself. But in other words, if you just keep reading and digesting Zeta Talk, it's not drinking Kool-Aid. Other tumblers in your brain will start to click. Wow, okay, of course, if there's a land fusion or fission, of course, that's because of a nearby earthquake or a tectonic plate movement. So when you start to understand and see what it is Nancy and the Zetas and all of the Ning members like Starr have been giving us for so many years as far as awareness, such as the rise in albinism, all the white buffalo, for example, in 1995 showed itself for the first time, and that has to do with a lot of the radiation particles emanating from cracks in the earth, so to speak, because the plates are loosening up because magnets are shaking the earth daily. But so hence the tale of the white buffalo. But that was told by all the older Indians throughout their generations as a sign of the next pole shift. And there's so many different signs out there.
The Native Americans are ready. They're aware and they're ready. And of course, the government has been preparing too, but they don't want the populace to know, because they think that everyone's going to leave their jobs. Really, everyone needs to make an income. They're not going to leave their jobs.
1%. It's always threatened the 1% who are the power hungry, the financiers who need to be on top, who can't imagine getting their hands dirty in a garden. It's always been about them. And controlling masses, and Starr has said also, ultimately for a few of them, even harvesting souls and getting them to lean the wrong way, and murders, wars, whatever it may be. But yeah, that also goes back to the transformation. But Zeta Talk is
I'm sorry, Michael. I just want to point out that the transformation page, if you go to Zeta Talk and I think it's on the front page. Let me see if it's on the front page. You can scan down to transformation and open that up. That's a world of knowledge right there, and a lot of really intense things that people really think about. What happens when we die? Where does our soul go? What about Jesus? So.
But all of this comes straight from
Nancy. So much under the transformation page.
All of this comes through Nancy Leader, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is okay.
This is written via Nancy, and when she gets it wrong, she's corrected. And it may be months later where something else will come up, and the Zetas will say, "Well, Nancy's description was this, but we wanted to add this. You were not aware of this." So when there's a question and answer, which is every week, Nancy does a question and answer, and people contact her via email through Zeta Talk, and they contact her through the Ning, or it's a personal contact of hers that has a question. She answers specifically what the question was. So sometimes we need more information, but the question should have been more elaborate, So Zeta Talk is just a growing thing as people need more information. But there is no hand-holding. So it's not like I can send a message to Nancy saying, I want to know what's going to happen with my daughter in Florida. I can't say that. That would be hand-holding. That has nothing to do with all of humanity.
But she
it
does
has to
put
be
out
something specific.
But she has put out predictions and stuff like that on her website?
No predictions.
Never.
It's not although there's plenty of predictions because they gave us all the signs to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, and they're important signs. The last weeks alone are going to be people's hair is going to turn white. There's 3 days of darkness, 6 days of sunrise west. But prior to that, there's a lean to the left because right now the Earth is wobbling. That's why we have such erratic weather and we're in a wobble. And the wobble has gotten more severe since 2009, consistently more severe. At one point, when you have like a teeter-totter thing, it gets stuck one way. Well, we're going to have a drastic lean to the left. And that's what will, ultimately bring on the last weeks. There'll be a slowing rotation. And like I said, 3 days of darkness, 6 days of sunrise west for us here in North America. For the other side of the world, it's the opposite. So red dust will start, coming onto the ground everywhere, not just one locale. And there's no way that they can blame it on Sahara Desert, Red dust is going to be everywhere. The sky is going to be completely red, that red hue to it. And then the destruction comes with violent shaking of the whole planet, supposedly Mag 9 in most locations. And fireballs, everything will be set ablaze. Gas lines are going to break because there's gas under all of our feet everywhere.
Right.
Oh, it's just so stupid to me. I hate gas, but it's going to be exploding everywhere. So, but there's things that we can do to prepare for that. If we know it's coming, and we know the signs to look for.
Right.
And of course, all of these tectonic signs, which are, the increase in earthquakes everywhere. Every volcano that has been active, that was active 10,000 years ago, is now active. And there's even more volcanoes that we didn't even know had. Some of them are under the ocean that we didn't even know was there. So all of this is going to happen. But if you look at all of our continents, we were all together. All of our continents were not like a puzzle like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So from past pole shifts, I live on the Continental Divide. I could actually walk to the Continental Divide where I live.
Yeah.
So all of these Blue Ridge Mountains were pressed up in the blink of an eye. During one of the last pole shifts. I don't know which it would be, because this is the second oldest mountains in the United States. The first are in the Ozarks.
But you don't think that's just a
little,
natural progression of our planet itself, just constantly
oh
evolving,
yes, it is.
constantly
It's
moving?
all a natural progression. Exactly. What people are thinking, um, the 100-year flood, something like that comes into their mind. No, we're in the 3,657 plus year cycle. This is going to be a pole shift, like it's happened many times prior. So, we just have to be living in it. And people well, I can't blame people. If the government doesn't tell you, or mainstream media is not talking about it, no one's going to believe it.
Right.
Unless they're looking for, they're on a soul journey, and they will be awakened at some point on a soul journey. But of course, whatever, this is the worst case scenario. There's many other alien beings that are loving beings and very benevolent, but they're telling people it's not going to happen. We're going to rise up with our love, and we're going to, just go to fifth density, because they're already talking about fifth density when we're in third,
Wow.
just by being loving beings and only thinking good thoughts.
But see, that's
Well,
that's where I'm at though. And again, I would ask everybody listening to the show to actually go to Zeta Talk, read everything if you're into this, and judge for yourself.
do the research.
Yes,
Do
and do
the
the
research.
research.
Not only that, but just go outside. Just do this. Go outside and make note of where the next full moon is. Not only that, but judging by buildings or landscape in your area, whether it's a tree line or whatever, because I started looking skyward in 2011. When I say I see things, and Starr and I talk about it all the time. About 6 months ago, the sun was setting far more to the left of a group of trees, and today it's high overhead and setting northwest, or northeast. No, I'm sorry, northwest. Yeah,
Northwest.
So
Yes.
yeah, and when you look at history, with navigations by sea, by plane, primitive man, we've always kind of journeyed navigating by the sun, and at times the moon even. But now the sun is setting in so many different spots so rapidly that anybody who doesn't see those changes isn't really looking to be aware. However, if you go out and you see those changes, and then you go on to say the internet and look for answers, for the most part, intelligent people are only going to find Zeta Talk. There's a lot of disinformation out there. There are things that NASA never talks about. One of them is why people are seeing the sun in different locations. Whether it's, not to mention Nancy and another name member recently has started documenting the rising times and setting times of the sun, which have been off by as much as an hour at times.
Well, why is the sun appearing in different locations?
There is only one explanation for that. The Earth is wobbling. We are a magnetic planet who's being
And there's
shaken
one more thing I want to point out. In 2003, the Earth was halted in its orbit. Now that freaks every scientist out, but Earth was halted in its orbit. And it's a waiting game. But of course, to a being, 2 decades is but a minute,
Yeah,
so it's a waiting game. And they've been trying to get, they're trying to force an announcement. And
when was this?
Excuse me?
When is the halted in its orbit?
The Earth has been halted in its orbit as of 2003 because of the magnetic pull that has disrupted our whole solar system. So it's been halted.
When it zoomed in 2003, it kind of slammed on the brakes, but it had locked the Earth's orbit up for a day. And that's when they had the huge power outages in Manhattan, for example, when they were walking across the bridges, all the masses of people. That sticks to my memory because my son was born that year. And I remember his poor mother was home sweating with no air conditioning one of the hottest days in summer, and I was like, get ready, we're going to go to Denny's and sit and order some pancakes and get some air conditioning. But I remember it was such a national event because they blamed it on the grid. Today they blame all grid failures on the potential for cybersecurity and all this other stuff, but there's a whole lot of magnetic things going on.
EMPs, electromagnetic pulse.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's a two-type. It's EMPs coming from two different directives, actually. There's the charged tail, which is a very charged and very magnetic, with a lot
Debris
of
field.
absolutely, from Planet X, which is wafting towards Earth daily. And then, but there's also the when you there's what Nancy has so eloquently and timelessly put in efforts, and people have asked so many good-natured questions to the Zetas, and due to the rule of non-interference by the Council World, the Zetas were to give us the answers to those things, and it's things that scientists never really understood, or to this day are still learning more from Zeta Talk, though they won't admit it. But it has to do with when we wobble daily, it's causing stress on our tectonic plates. And if you've ever, as a child, taken two rocks and struck them together, you get a spark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine large land bases and tectonic plates shifting all at once. It creates that type of a pulse. And we've had, thanks to Starr's diligence in creating the blog for airplane crashes, we've had so many different disturbances, emergency landings.
I'm so glad the pilots know now. I don't know if you saw that.
Definitely aware. They're absolutely
I
aware.
posted something from Emergency Broadcasting Network that was posted as Department of Homeland Security in 2015, and
Yes,
it was
absolutely.
gearing up for all space events.
Yeah.
So every pilot at that point, which I'm so grateful, because I knew that we were going to start to see big boys crashing like crazy. You know.
Well, not only that, but she also posted. She's always been diligent and concerned with trains, but that Hoboken accident 2 years ago was amazing. I mean, that I knew what it was the moment I saw it and heard it on the news. A train came full speed into the Hoboken stop, and all the witnesses said it never put the brakes on. It just slammed in, and that was a Zeta prediction that these types of things were going to start happening. Electronic braking systems were going to fail due to a pulse. In this case, it happened to be more a pulse because obviously the Hoboken train is kind of a low-lying area where there's kind of water all in the area. So the magnetic charge or whatever it was, the pulse that took the brakes out on the train, it was devastating. But because, as we talked about, a lot of the monetary needs of this country and the value of a dollar, airlines and train companies don't want to talk about it. They don't want people to get any closer to the truth on what's causing these disturbances. But when you take Ning members like Starr and I, and we monitor these things daily, and I mean diligently. I see her up at 4 a.m. I'm like, what are you still doing up? Go to bed. You've been up all day. But she's so posting events.
Right.
And when you start to pay attention to where and what type of events are happening, you'll find all of the answers to the majority of those. Some of them were made predictions by the Zetas, but it's all because of Nancy. Nancy it was basically Nancy's soul that was chosen. She's a very courageous, very old soul that's here to help mankind. So she poses questions weekly to the Zetas, and if the intentions are to better mankind, expose certain cover-ups, continue man's schoolhouse here on Earth, our soul's schoolhouse, to make the right decisions or the wrong ones. So the Zetas and Nancy's kind of work in tandem,
right?
And that's why there can only be one. And Nancy has had to learn so many things about geology and everything, gases and biology and all.
She didn't know any of those things. That's what's so amazing. She knew nothing, but she would give.
I'm no Nancy, believe me, but that's how I feel. I feel empowered because I've taken the time to read Zeta Talk and reread it and try to understand it. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm a carpet installer by trade my whole life. I mean, I kicked in the rug and put down ceramic tile. I'm not supposed to know how planetary objects work, let alone seeing and recording for myself. So, my awakening was kind of easy for me, but I understood that this is something I know that I was incarnated here at this time to understand in a time-released way, so I didn't freak out or, wander or become conscientious or conceited, So I'm kind of here like Starr and Nancy to kind of assist anybody who's willing to believe. You don't have to believe in, in anything. It's all.
But that's it. Willing.
We have our free will.
Right.
And that's what's not to be interfered with. Mankind, it's our lesson to learn. And the Zetas want to see us do the right thing, but they're restrained by the rules. The council rules say this is Earth's schoolhouse, and that, yes, Zetas, Be patient. This is going to be your
Oh,
home in the
but
future.
yeah, this is where
But
I don't really get it though too much. It's the Council of Worlds, right? That kind of control even what the Zetas have to say on what goes on the planet, right? I mean, pretty much.
yes, don't forget that the Zetas, according to Nancy, and I
Mhm.
truly believe this, and we're seeing, what was this past week, Star, the Peru mummy? They have a mummy
Did
now
you see that, Dino?
Oh
spring.
yes,
I
that is
posted it on the page, so you
Okay.
must have.
yes,
So,
very
so
intriguing.
the Zetas are only one of many life forms that are here assisting in the transformation of Earth, because it's not about what life form lives on this planet. It's about what souls are incarnated on this planet, and that's the long version short. So all of this is, when I say it's cohesive, that's what I mean. It's all cohesive. The Zetas are here to assist, and they have been here assisting for many, many, many years. They're also getting ready to take mankind, and I'm sorry to say this is just me being blunt and honest. I'm more Zetan than anything. I've been a Palladian.
Mm.
But mankind is also ready for its next evolutionary leap. I'm sorry, but we have way too much obesity. We've got a lot of digestive problems.
Yes.
So there's
And they're working on fixing all that for us.
absolutely, but it takes volunteers. And this has been on the DNA, and all of this has been going on for a long time. It's a slow progression, but the transformation is going to expedite that. A lot of reincarnated souls, maybe even you, Dino, if you do the right thing,
Yeah.
if you're here back in the fourth sense, you're gonna incarnate into a newer life form, and it's beautiful because your children won't have the digestive problems, the increased intelligence.
I'll tell you this, Michael.
Telepathy.
I hope that you're right, okay? Because the only thing I can really take is people's words on this, okay? Like usual. I mean, and I'm not being harsh. I'm just that's how I am.
Well, look,
I've heard
when
this.
when it comes to, I that's why I try to defer. I
Yeah, go
try
ahead.
not to speak. I don't preach. I don't want to preach what people should be practicing as far as their religion and their orientation. That's not for me. I'm a nuts and bolts guy, as Starr would typically tell you. This is probably more than I ever talked about orientation with anybody, because I don't want to like terrify them and shut them over the edge.
Right.
But so you maybe follow more of the planetary things that are going on. But until you really commit at some point, because everything that's going on, you can watch the establishment. What we call the establishment is a lot of the elites in the world, the media moguls that own, six families own all the news in the country.
Yeah, right.
What they call legitimate news. But in any case, you'll watch NASA not say anything about certain things, and then actually try to explain their newest finding, and then 6 months later, oh, we were wrong about that finding, but here's another one. NASA never, ever once discussed the dark twin. And when Nancy and Zeta Talk and Earth Change Pole Shift Ning showed me how to go looking at sky maps and Solaris and all that stuff, so that I could actually see what stellar objects were supposed to be there, I saw it for myself. One day, just as an example, I was watching a NASA live broadcast. And a live shot from the Earth, the giant Earth and the wing of the International Space Station. Also, this planetary object just popped into view, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I had a DVR. I recorded it. I think I'm the only one that's recorded. It's on YouTube, and it's nothing spectacular to watch. But when you look at it, did NASA say anything about it? And there have been so many UFOs that are showed up.
Well, is the video conclusive? I mean, you'd look at it and definitely say yeah?
No. It's all free will. You look at it, you say, okay, that's something, or it's not something. A lot of people will look at things and still
But
deny.
see, isn't that like religion, though? I mean, it's the same thing. You got to have belief in order to to believe. So, again.
It goes back to the duality of man. First, with a lot of religions, when you look at a lot of the religious people that are written about, such as Jesus, I can only use him because I'm Catholic, but I know some of other religions. I'm learning a lot of the ancient religions thanks to Zeta Talk and about gods like Kali and stuff. But when you look at Jesus, he was all about love. He was all about sharing. He was not about monetary. I mean, but it's his message that has been warped by the hands of man throughout the years that have just twisted it, and it's all about control. And so when you look at something, just for example, as telepathy, That would benefit mankind huge right now. There would be no more wars. We would know immediately if this person was a murderer.
Most people are using more and more telepathy skills. Women basically have the telepathy skill because they're attached to their child. It's kind of, but I find more and more people are doing that, and I'm very excited about that. But yeah, it's a one-to-one kind of thing. So go ahead, Michael. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just getting back. It's Nancy always calls them signs in the skies. So if you don't want to look at the sky, pay attention to things like electrical magnetic pulse. You'll see a lot of power failures, a lot of grid failures. You'll see a lot of silly excuses like birds and squirrels and raccoons and snakes. And then you look at the size of these power plants and they're like, 500 feet wide. And you think, how can one bird cause a power failure for 10,000, 20,000, even 80,000 people? We've had internet outages. We've had airlines, just people going crazy at the airports. Tens of thousands of people nationwide at times because the computers are all down at the same time, ironically. So when you look at a lot of the different signs, unfortunately, getting back to what we call the worst of the cover-up, is that a lot of the supposed free world has always been looking towards NASA because we're the most developed in space, and Russia. We're supposed to let them know that these things are going on. But unfortunately, a lot of what NASA's recruitment, and as Starr said, this all goes back to Roswell and a lot of the parts of the government speaking to more self-serving aliens that did nothing but lie and deceive, didn't give any technology as promised because Council of World would never allow that. So when you look at the lies and perpetrations by NASA, look at the rush today for Elon Musk and Richard Branson and
everyone's trying to get off the planet.
They're all trying to get off the planet. And then I seen on the news the other day there were 18,000 children that wanted to join NASA and go to Mars. And it's just like it's all about escape. And it's
well, I don't know why we haven't gotten up and off this planet yet.
Why do we need to go? That's the biggest thing. Why
I'll tell you why. Because there's such. The imagination of just going to another solar system and seeing a different world, a different race, the whole Star Wars thing, Star Trek thing, come to life.
Sure.
I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want that to happen?
And it would, but we're kindergartners. We're babies. They're not going to allow us any of that until we're ready.
But I would say this, not me. I know that I could be boarded on a ship right now, taken to another world that's beautiful, okay, visit it, still come home and know that I have a beautiful planet with blue skies, a beautiful ocean right there sitting on the beach, and I'm loving it. There's
many Earths in the galaxy, many other Earths.
I love that thought.
Everybody tells me nobody's ready.
Look at the reality here. If there is a governing body for, just say, our solar system, okay, and you're a school teacher and you have a mixed orientation of children, do you really think that man is so developed in love and peace and harmony to go travel in the universes and land on another planet?
Oh, no, not all of them,
We were trying to bring up weapons, space weapons.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. Reagan's missiles in space, nuclear weapons in
well,
space.
then I can tell you this, though, Starr and Michael, then that's why I don't understand why, especially if there's a council of worlds, they don't do something about it. Okay, enough of this not... They're not supposed to interfere.
Every time a satellite has gone up and brought something that they shouldn't have brought up, it's been shut down.
They do
every satellite that is... If they're bringing up food to the astronauts, that's allowed. Anything else is not going to be allowed.
No, how about the wars going on, though?
They've been doing this consistently for years now.
How about the wars?
They have a hand in that.
How about the wars in the Middle East, though? Why can't they stop that? I mean...
It all goes back to the schoolhouse. It's all about the graduation of souls. Look, if you really think that in a lot of ways, a lot of the things that we manufacture in this planet now are good for this planet, such as plastic and killing machines, such as guns, and I understand the right to own guns. I'm not impeding anybody's free will here. But the tanks, the missiles, The bombs that we've dropped on wedding parties, whether it's our country or another country, the terrorists that walk into shopping malls, if you think that a lot of the not the knowledge, but the things that we make today as humanity, we're the only living thing on this planet that uses plastic. Why do we need plastic? Just as an example, how much plastic do we produce before it finally overwhelms the planet? How much nuclear arms and devices do we need on this before the next Chernobyl or the Japanese incident that happened? I mean, at what point does humanity say enough is enough? This is the reason for the transformation. It's to separate the children in the schoolyard. Why do you want to put a nice little young, beautiful girl who's all about hugs and love into a playpen with 50 thugs? 50 children that are bopping each other over the head and stealing each other's cookies.
That's another thing. That's another thing I could say though, Michael, is they've had so many. Okay, they've been here since whenever, however far back we can go. There's been plenty of time to help out with even genetically helping out with people who are like that because they've got mental problems. They've got chemical reactions that are released in their head, cause them to do this. There's scarring tissue. There's got to be ways that throughout all of this history and expanse of time that they could have helped make a better man, right? They're supposedly genetically interfering, and we got hybrids.
They have helped. I mean, look, Michael and I are talking to you right now, and we're talking to you about it. So they have helped. It's on a one-to-one basis.
I am definitely thrilled that you found Zeta Talk. And it really does. It comes down to your free will. But in the end, we're giving you, Starr, like myself, we are blunt and honest. So if you give us there's a long way around. There's a lot of digesting for people as far as trying to understand why wouldn't you help this person or why wouldn't you help this person? Dino, what I can tell you right now is that the United States of America has been so wealthy, but yet there's still children starving around the world.
Oh, yeah,
and for the most part, what do we do? We write a check to a foundation. Most foundations don't even deliver a percentage of that money to those starving children. And then we go off to our restaurant and order a $40, $50 meal, which would have fed that entire family for a month. So as far as the orientation of Earth here, there's still a lot of selfishness. There's a lot of but there are a lot of good.
But they're allowed to be here because this is their last incarnation.
Absolutely.
So,
a few may actually come back one more time for one last shot, but they're going to come back after the shift, because they're going to be put in some really hard, trying times. But it's not about giving your soul an advantage for the afterlife. That's not what it's about. It's about growing your soul. We all know that Jesus came from another highly evolved, loving, caring, whether it's a family or density, whatever you want to consider that it is. But he came way back then to help us because love was the most important thing.
And he's not the only one that came here to give that message. It's just been distorted because with politicians, even back in ancient times, they believed that they needed order, so they created the Bible. The Bible was written by 11 men. They took out a whole bunch of juicy things.
Of course.
And you know, that's what they've been preaching ever since. So for the good-hearted who are of influenced by religion, I can understand that. I went to Catholic school. Michael went to Catholic school. I know. But when
the nuns used to beat me mercilessly.
I had the gun tap on in the corner with the Scotch tape on my mouth. Yes, I know. But
well, I'll say this:
if you have your own, like Dino, I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If you could learn one thing from Zeta Talk, let's not include science in that. Okay, if you could learn one thing through Zeta Talk, what would it be?
One thing to learn?
One thing that you could learn from Zeta Talk. Wouldn't it be about my soul? My dad died. Where'd he go? Isn't it about the soul? Doesn't most people have that yearning?
No. You know what? That's number one on my list. I am scared that I'm going to die and I am nothing. Okay, I'm just saying it right there. It's once I die, I'm done. So you talk about the soul. Yes, 100%. But again, I would just be getting secondhand information from somebody. You know what I'm saying? I would like somebody to, if I'm to the point to where I can be talked to by a Zeta or anybody else or an angel or something. Don't ask me why I haven't been given any kind of information. I'm reaching out so strongly, okay, trying to look for the truth.
You're a radio host, and you're working the topic of paranormal. So yes, you've given the call.
I hope something comes through.
You just have to ask for. You have to ask to sort of remember it. And it's a gradual happening where you will remember something that doesn't sit right with you. Maybe you were missing for a couple of hours. Something that you'll know instinctively, this is not right, So there's people out there. There's another radio host, I won't mention his name. And we talk about that all the time. He's like, I'm ready. And how come I haven't had a visitation? When you're so fixated on I need that,
right?
They're not going to give that to you. They'll give it to you in your subconscious, but you're not ready because it's going to rock your world. When that
bring
does
it
happen.
On. I need it. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Starr, Michael. I hope you guys didn't take it the wrong way. You guys are Sicilian. You guys know when I'm passionate about something, I'm going to go on and on and on. So we've talked about this. I'm in no way being negative about anything. I'm very open-minded. I just like to ask the questions, So that's all I'm really doing, So
I posted the call on your Facebook page, on the radio Facebook page.
Okay.
Because that's where you start.
Right.
What is the call? Who takes the call? And be careful what you call for, okay?
Right.
Because if you are having a bad day and you're pissed off at your boss or your wife or, you're just having a bad day, don't go to sleep asking for that call, kicking your feet like, I haven't had it yet, I'm really pissed off.
That's right.
Because... yeah, a selfish alien is ready right there waiting to take that call. What do you want? What do you need?
Yeah,
So,
false promises and lies, too.
Yeah, it's your own subconscious mind talking to you. When you smack yourself down for something stupid that you've done or said, it's your own subconscious talking to you. That's the way it works in your dream state. Yeah. Most of the time it's going to happen in a dream state. For the lucky people out there that have had... third-degree contact or fourth-degree contact with beings, spotted a UFO, followed the UFO, saw the light, something happened to them. Travis Walton comes first and foremost to my mind. That's an experience that has changed you forever. And those people can, spend decades looking into information and they keep more towards the UFO side and they're missing the whole purpose of that contact, which was to awaken you and awaken you to the fact that, this planet things are going to happen. You need to be prepared and love is all that matters and everything that Jesus was here to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like Dino, you said earlier that, you have this vision or this imagination of being lifted up onto a ship and carried to this beautiful, maybe another water world. The flowers are different than anything you've ever seen. Let me ask you a few questions. Do you believe in UFOs even a little bit?
Yeah, no, I do.
Okay. Have you ever think that you've seen a UFO?
I do.
Okay.
But not 100% sure.
Me, but because there are not everybody can see them, so to speak. They're fluff.
I'm going to mention something about the guy from Department of Homeland Security who started Emergency Broadcasting Network.
Yes,
he was witness to the Phoenix Lights.
Yes.
He was fascinated. He was witness, and it was long-lasting, along with hundreds of other people. And he was given a line of crock by the government, which he never believed. So,
however, at this point here, he's trying to get a message out.
That's right.
Actually, he did not shy away like yourself, He did not shy away from the Zeta message. He kind of knew that he had to walk a fine line here because you can't represent a branch of the government and still kind of adhere to advice and predictions and things such as that from the Zetas. But I believe because, and I had spoken to him a few times on the phone, he was talking about the Phoenix Lights. He was given, like a lot of people, a download. And it's a download for kind of a time-release thing. And here it is. That was
specific to his location.
1997, and 18 years later, he's starting USA EBN and trying to raise awareness, and it's kind of a fight for a good fight. And, so he... and a lot of times I constantly see things in my night sky, the beautiful Adirondack mountain night sky. So when I go out and I feel a little lonely, every once in a while I kind of think I see one winking at me. Okay, I see you, I love you. But
right.
You see, when you go out and you look and you see and you want to see, it'll come to you. Another question I could ask you: a lot of people talked about it throughout their life. Have you ever had a dream of falling?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, a lot of people remember the falling, but they just don't remember the lift. So when you talk about your future loving to be lifted onto a ship and see a planet, there's a chance, your soul has already done that.
Well, you're making good points. Lifted. You're making good points, that's for sure.
So, I mean, and a lot of times when I know I had contact, it was in my subconscious, and for me, it was easy because I had the same reoccurring dream. I'd be driving my van because I was a carpenter installer my whole life. Drive my van, having a good time, radio on, and all of a sudden I'd hit a ramp. And I'd jump, like I used to jump ramps on motorcycles when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I loved that feeling of flying up in the air. And all of a sudden the van would turn and point downwards, and I'd get that sensation of I'm falling, and then I'd always wake up.
Wow.
That was me knowing it's my own free will to believe that after getting answers from Zeta Talk that I was being lifted with other souls for maybe meetings to do
for meetings.
Awareness. Yeah, so it was beyond me giving the call. It was me realizing that I had known about this before I knew about it. But once I saw that first stupid video about Planet X, that was way off at that time, and it had nothing to do with Zeta Talk at all. It just released. It was like a euphoric feeling, like you had done a drug for the first time, so to speak. So from that point on, I knew that I was aware. And even today, I still see things. I had my first glimpse of an alien 6 months ago, and I didn't realize it until 2 days afterwards. But I have a black lab dog, David, and I love him. Mm-hmm. He's very aware of my surroundings for me here because we're in the pitch black forest at night, and all I see is the stars. But sure enough, out of nowhere, David kind of stopped and froze and then laid down and almost fell asleep on me. And as I looked off into the distance, about 80 yards away, there were two huge blue eyes, which had kind of faded into the woods. And I knew right then and there that was my glimpse of an alien. I also knew...
But you just saw...
put the dog to sleep first, because they don't want an altercation with the dog.
They don't want to... Yes, and he's not bred for, fighting, or he's a very loving dog, but still he's a threat. So that's when I realized days after that I had actually had contact on a ship, but I was restrained because they didn't know if I would respond hostily. You know what I mean? So it was the same thing when they finally gave me a glimpse in my conscious mind here. Mm-hmm. It was a time release thing. I wasn't supposed to know immediately when I saw him he was an alien, or she, or whatever life form it was. I would like to say it was a version of a Zeta hybrid, but neither way, it was definitely the bluest, biggest. They were about the size of two softballs.
Wow. See, and you know what?
Stood out and lasted all for a split second and then faded. So I'm getting my knowledge from time release.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I sound so passionate at times about trying to understand
I get
what magnetic planets do. So if you kind of keep an open mind, stick with it, and go out and look for the changes yourself. Just notice your sun setting over a certain building at a certain, and then go out
I'll keep
months later.
Yeah, I'll keep a lookout for that. That's definitely for sure. See, I knew I was going to get in a conversation with you guys, and I'd never even touched on the main thing. I was going to talk about you, Starr, and how you are in contact with the Zetas yourself, because you have had some.
I've had contact with many. Well, I can't say many. I guess one handful, of different beings that I've been in contact with. But in 2002, and my
Zetas?
background.
Zetas?
In 2002 is when I met the Zetas.
Okay, so Nancy is not the only one then. You actually.
Oh yeah. No.
Okay.
When I say, people give the call, and
Okay.
it starts out in your subconscious, and then it goes to your conscious awakening because you've asked for it, because
Okay.
you're ready for it. There's many times I go to sleep here, before I go to sleep, and I'm drifting off, and I know that I'm going to have a contact, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not good today. No, and because you could say no. People don't understand that they could say no. And many times I have done that. My head's just not right, or I'm too exhausted. What are you going to share with me now? What more am I going to have to do? There's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Because I work very hard. And
I know.
how I learned what to do, what I'm doing, all came from them. But my how I met them was in 2002. We lived in Florida. We had just moved to Florida, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to sleep, but when I woke up, I remembered, which is really rare for me because I don't dream, and I knew it wasn't a dream. I don't remember my dreams. I take medication at night, and I really don't dream. So when I woke up, I remembered what and I woke up in a sweat, and I remembered what had happened, and I was euphoric. I couldn't believe it. I was, what? And then what had happened was I was taken onto a ship, and I have to say everything was gray. And of course, now that I know everything is not gray, it's just that I can't see the different colors. The whole ship seemed to be made out of some kind of liquid mercury. And I was just in the middle of a room. There was no seats, no nothing, no console, with gadgets or anything like that. It was just an open cylindrical room. And all of a sudden, a being came over to me, which I now know is a Zeta. I didn't really know then. I just thought this is an extraterrestrial. And lovingly, so when people say that Zetas are so hard-nosed and they're matter-of-fact, yes, they are. But I've had loving experiences with them. Lovingly, my body kind of levitated, and something underneath me became like a liquid mercury that formed to my body. So it was cool to the touch. And I was so comfortable. And I knew that there were 3 in the room because I sensed the other 2, but I did not see the other 2, but I sensed that they were there. And all of a sudden, this lucite cylinder, like a donut shape, was placed on top of my head, not on my head, but hovering above my head, but within my peripheral vision, so that when it spun, I was able to see what was. It was a download. So
Okay.
I actually experienced how the download was done to me. It was symbols and all these little things that I had never seen before, little squiggly things and symbols and numbers, and it spun around my head. So I knew at that point, this is amazing that this happened to me. But I also came back with the notion that there's something terribly wrong with the planet. I had no idea in 2002. I had no idea, but I knew at that point something was terribly wrong with the planet. So I started looking into ancient text, trying to see if I see the symbols anywhere, that will make sense to me, because that's what I thought I needed to do. Mm-hmm. So one thing led to another, and I think in probably about 2005, because I had just moved from Florida to South Carolina, I had discovered Zeta Talk for the first time, because I was on another site that I think it was called Facebook 2012. I think that's what it was called. And I started to realize we're going to have a pole shift. And people were talking about there must be a map out there, of the new geography. Mm-hmm. So I started looking into a map. And again, I found Zeta Talk. Like, I kept finding Zeta Talk, and I kept pushing it aside, because I was really looking for symbols,
Right.
But when I found the Zeta Talk map, which is just it's a little, nothing little map, but it was the worst case scenario, because I decided I was going to go with the worst case scenario and see and start there, Zeta Talk just clicked with me, and I just kept going back to it and kept going back to it until I found I started reading a bit, mostly about the soul. That was, to me, that's first and foremost on everyone's mind. My loved ones are gone. Where did they go? And will they come back? And that was important to me. So I started really deeply reading that. And then I found the poleship.ning through one of Nancy's newsletters. I started to see it, poleship.ning. I was like, oh, okay. So in 2009, I worked my way over to poleship.ning, and I was very quiet, very quiet for a good 8-10 months. And then I started, contributing. And then I would go to sleep at night, wake up in the morning, and realize, oh, I need to start a plane crash blog. Oh, I need to start a gas explosion blog. And I was getting more and more fed to me, this is what you have to do,
So you're kind of telling predictions in your blog then. You're waking up with kind of stuff that's happening on the planet or going to happen?
No, I guess it's predictions, but silly me, at that time, I hadn't gone to Zeta Talk and punched in plane crashes. I hadn't gone to Zeta Talk and punched in train derailments or gas explosions or methane poisoning, I hadn't gone to Zeta Talk and looked at those specific things. So I woke up knowing that I needed to create a blog that I can maintain because there's going to be an extreme uptick. So in 2010, I became, a powerhouse for poleship.ning. And there's many of us. Believe me, it's not just me. We have people worldwide who work very hard, and their expertise is maybe explosions, or maybe the Soho images, the magnetosphere.
Well, I'll tell you what,
we have
Starr,
different people that are key to that.
Well, Starr, sorry to stop you again. This is unbelievable. I knew we could not do a 2-hour show. This is like unreal. So we definitely got to have another show and kind of narrow maybe some subject matters so that we can really get a little bit more in depth on a couple different topics.
We jumped all over the place.
But I got
now
two
you know
things.
Who we are, where we came from, how we came to Zeta Talk.
Exactly.
And hopefully the next time we can get into the meat and bones.
We will.
Of really reading online, because I've been trying to post, the different links that we're discussing onto your page. But if we could really read it online, what it says. It's just amazing.
For sure. And there's a couple questions I need to ask you before we do get the end, and then we'll wind up with getting all the info out there so everybody knows and all that. But first of all, just really quick, you can just answer yes or no, okay? Because I got another question I want to ask other than that. Have you heard of the Andromeda Council?
No, I probably did, but
okay. I'll leave it at that.
Go ahead
then.
and tell me what you want to say about the Andromeda Council.
No, it's almost exactly similar to this, except reptilians and another kind of group of aliens that are in cohorts with the government and kind of the same kind.
So they're malevolent. They're meanies.
They're talking about they're talking about the same kind of transformation that's going on as you. It's almost the exact story that you're saying. But they're saying it, and they're talking about different species, which is the Nordic, the reptilians, and some others.
Do you know there's 400 species of aliens on this planet?
Wow.
That are monitoring this planet that, show up every once in a while? Yeah, there's 400 species in touch with the populace.
Unbelievable. But before I end the show, can I please ask you, because I noticed on the site, especially on the link on the Zeta Talk with myths and stuff like that, that they did say something about the true identity of Jack the Ripper, one of my favorite subjects. Can you say anything about that?
Oh, I read that. But, it was royalty. It was royalty.
Okay.
Jack the Ripper was royalty. That's all I remember. But I did read that because I came from a thick paranormal background. That's another, I know we only have a couple more minutes. But I had to decipher what were ghostly things that were happening to me.
Yeah.
Paranormal, ghostly versus extraterrestrial things that were happening to me. So, I was I'm always interested in all of that. You will love the whole section on myths.
Oh yeah, no, I
Most of the
started
myths
looking through that. Yeah,
are
yeah.
true.
Wow.
Just like you learned about Greek mythology,
Yes.
all of that was true.
Hmm.
So that's amazing stuff. You should
So
read about all that
interesting.
because I
No,
know that
no.
you've had other shows, and that's
Yeah.
mainly what your page is all about.
Oh, it's about everything. I mean, we cover the whole spectrum. I tend to lean a little bit more darker because I like the ghost and the spooky stuff. But
I
you know,
love all that. Yes.
yeah. But I mean, I'm looking for answers just like everybody else, like you guys. I mean, that's why I'm glad I got in contact with you guys
I'm
and
glad
found
you
you.
found Zeta Talk.
I am too.
One more radio host to find Zeta Talk, it always makes me happy.
There you go. And again, I mean, I hope I didn't come off too harsh, you guys.
Not at all.
Not at all. No.
Good. And I definitely want you guys back on to. And I've already got.
I wish we could have taken questions, but I don't even see questions. It's like,
Well,
I'm trying to fidget back and forth, but.
No, it's all right. And I'm looking at it, and we had so much to cover that we didn't even get to that it's not even funny. That I've already got a couple people who said they definitely want you on their show, and one of them's if you get a message from Leonard O'Neill he's from Ancient Aliens Worldwide. And he's been doing shows. It's called Orion Rising. He's written a book about it. He's got a prepping book and all kinds of other stuff. Give him a shot. Go on his show. He's a very good guy. I've interviewed him actually. So just if you get a message from him, maybe check him out. He wants to have you on his show.
Okay.
But anyways, I just that's who I am. I'm blunt as possible, but I'm very open-minded and. What you guys have to say in the website and Zeta Talk and all that is just mind-blowing and so interesting, and I think I may start this journey here. So if I need to know anything,
Wonderful.
I will message you guys, and definitely have you guys back on again though. But you tell me right now, you guys, where the best places to go to get all this information is. So you go ahead.
I'm going to go to poleshift.ning, and, go to Zeta Talk through poleshift.ning so you can see what that page is all about, because that's where the meat and bones of everyday happenings are posted. And that is basically where Nancy shares her question and answers and newsletter first. So go there. But if you go, people are going to be interested in where is a safe location. To me, top priority. Mm-hmm. So I found my safe location. Michael has his. You need to look at the safe locations, 7 steps to safe locations under Zeta Talk. It's like right smack in the middle of the heading, and you'll find it. That's where people should look, and that's worldwide. I don't know how many people are listening worldwide, but that is where you'll get all of your information pertaining to your location, and it's important. And you have to look all around your location as well.
Mm-hmm. And as far as if I could, Starr, as far as what Starr has done when she became a teammate to create blogs, to bring a place for people to update continuously because of the media suppression and a lot of the cover-ups on earth changes in general, put in place by Ronald Reagan. A lot of people go looking for answers, but they get establishment lies and stonewalls.
Oh, yeah.
The earthchangepoleshift.ning is a spot or a place where
we're pure.
They adhere to Zeta Talk, but not only that, because of people like Starr, they've created the blogs that bring attention to the events that are ongoing.
Worldwide events.
That the media will not touch because, let's face it, some of these people on the Today Show, for example, they can get $4.5 million a year salary, so they're happy not to talk about whatever the producers are telling them not to talk about. Right. In other words, people are still looking for answers. So to me, one of the best places, the only place for me, for people to go and look for truths, as I've ever found, is earthchangepoleshift.ning. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And like I said, if you want to learn how to survive certain things, USA Emergency Broadcasting Network, that is the place. USAEBN.org, that's the place to go. And, punch in landslide, punch in volcano, punch in nuclear event, and you'll learn how to survive all these things directly from Department of Homeland Security guy who's, all about that. So Yeah, I think we make a good team. Zeta Talk, Pole Shift Ning, and EBN. I think we make a good team.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. Yep.
Dino, it's been so much fun.
Oh my God, yeah. It's actually, like I said, mind-blowing. I didn't get to half of the, most of the stuff. Like I said, I go with the flow. So wherever it takes us, it takes us. But yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. And heck, man, I'm going to get you on here again eventually here soon.
Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to be here with Starr and you, of course.
Well, thank you, Michael. Yeah.
We can do a once-a-month thing. I'm holding you to it now.
There you go. No, without a doubt. There we go. We're set. I was going to actually get a hold of you a little bit later, and actually I had something like that in mind because you got a lot of information to get out there. And why not grab a few topics and get it out there during the show. Because
we'll start with your location. That's why I asked you where you live. We'll start with your location. We'll go through the United States and give you the blow-by-blow. What could happen, what you should be prepared for, what you should look out for. Those are important things that people really need to know now. They need to know it now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, and we got to end it here. It's a 2-hour show. It will be on Paranormal UK Radio Network. Also, Wednesday, 8 to 10, for all our people over in Europe. So again, I thank Irene and Mark, you guys know who you are, for having me part of the network and all that, and Leo for sharing in Ancient Aliens Worldwide. But again, Starr DiGiacomo and Michael DeFato, or DeFato, whichever. We say DeFato, right?
DeFato.
Yeah. My mind's
and I thought he was going to have trouble with my name.
I know. I'm saying, that's the way it goes,
Hey, Dino, I'll tell you this. You're doing a lot better than a few of the nuns I had younger. I used to get they put that name so bad.
Well, my last name's Ewelt. Okay, Ewelt, and people, my teachers always said Mr. Ewalt. Like it's Ewalt. So there you go. I mean, whatever.
Well, as uncommon as our names, absolutely.
Exactly. But again, I'm going to let you guys go, and I appreciate it, and we will continue the Zeta Talk thing down the road here. We will get something going here. I appreciate it very much. Okay, Starr and Michael?
Thank you so much, Dino.
Thank you, Dina.
Okay, and you
Have
guys...
a good night.
You too, and take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, there you go. That's, once again, Starr DiGiacomo and Michael DeFato. Okay, so check out zetatalk.com. Man, what a show. Holy cripe. Geez, so much to talk about. That's why I think we need to get some kind of like she said, some kind of monthly show here where we can narrow the subject matter down just a little bit and get some good information out there. This was a hell of a show. And what more can I say? Again, if you're listening here, join Paranormal Into the Night Facebook group and Facebook page, and give this a share on Facebook. Get it, spread it out there, let everybody know what's going on. I think this is good, important information. And with that said, man, I'm going to leave everybody go. Peace and love and the paranormal. Catch you guys next time.